I have a question. Are you getting everything done that you want, or are you just too busy? If you're too busy, you're probably doing what I used to do. I didn't set goals. My wife used to say to me, "What are you doing in the office so late?" Because I'd stay in the office and I'd be doing paperwork. I'd be going back and forth. She goes, "You're working harder than the President of the United States." And it became a little bit of a joke. And what happened was I wasn't very specific. I was just doing everything. And I wasn't specific upon my goals. I was doing things I probably shouldn't have been doing. So goal setting is extremely important. There's an interesting little conversation in Alice in Wonderland between the Cheshire Cat and Alice. And Alice starts to talk to the Cheshire Cat, and he's asking directions. And Cheshire Cat goes, "Where do you want to go?" And Alice goes, "It really doesn't much matter." So the Cheshire Cat goes, "Well, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there." Sometimes I feel that way. I'm just busy. I'm doing things. Even in this video right now, what's the purpose of this video? Why am I doing this video? Where do I want to go with this? Well, I have some specific reasons of doing this. Is I want to get the message out there to get people to be a little less busy and a little bit more intentional. So I try to be very goal oriented. I've been that way my whole life, but I've gotten more so in the last 12 years since I've been studying with Dan Sullivan. Every quarter we do an exercise where we do something, we write down the rocks. It's an EOS exercise, something that Mark Wickman did and studied a long time ago, and it's in his book, Bulletproof, and others that he's written. We write down 5 things that we want to do that quarter, and that quarter could be the 3 months. So that means we're going to have 4 quarters a year. That's 20 things a year. And if you pick 20 goals a year to do, that's quite an accomplishment to get 20 things done a year that you weren't planning on doing. And those things can be something as stretch more, drink more water, reach out to 4 or 5 people a day to talk to them because I want to become more involved in the community. It might be write a pamphlet for the office, or get involved in a new book, or see more new patients, or whatever it is. But there are 5 things, and I write them down. And then the purpose of those 5 things is to make them very specific. So I know exactly what that goal is. It's not to get healthier. It could be lose 5 pounds. It could be drink 7 glasses of water a day. It has to be very specific, and it has to be also a timestamp. So if I'm going to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever it is, it's not I'm going to lose 5 pounds. I'm going to lose 5 pounds by, and I give a date, and I write that down. And what I do is not only write those goals down, I share them with 4 or 5 other people. And those people share the goals with me, so I become accountable. I make a commitment to getting those goals done to myself, but I also show that commitment to other people. Now, there's something to be said about making a commitment that you're accountable to other people. For example, I have a workout partner, Stu Zarich. He's chief of cardiology at Bridgeport Hospital. I met him over 30 years ago. We have been working out on average of 2 days a week together for 30 years. He shows up at my house at 6 o'clock in the morning, 2 days a week, and we begin our workout. We do that consistently, and he's one of the most committed people I've ever met. That's why he's chief of cardiology. That's why he runs a residency program. That's why he's extremely successful. That's why he's well liked, because he lives to the extent to which he keeps his commitments. And my father taught me that years ago. Matter of fact, it was on a wall in my room. He goes, "Mike, your life will work to the extent to which you keep your commitments." I'm going to repeat that again because it's really important. Your life will work to the extent to which you keep your commitments. Now, most people don't keep their commitments because they don't hold themselves accountable, or nobody else holds themselves accountable. So if you're going to make goals, you got to be committed to them, and it's good to share them with other people. And it makes me accountable. I'm still busy sometimes, but I still make sure that I get those goals down. Those are the most important things I have to do that quarter. And if I don't do that, it's just a dream. Tony Robbins talks about goals, and he says something interesting. He says what goals do is they turn the invisible into visible. Because I have all sorts of dreams. I want to do this, I want to do this. I want to be a stand-up comic and sell out Madison Square Garden. Well, that's probably not going to happen because I don't do any stand-up comedy. I don't study it, and I don't perform anywhere. But it's something nice to think about. Well, you know what I really want to do? I want to win the national championship as a point guard for the New York Knicks. That's probably not going to happen. That's sort of a fantasy. And a lot of us have these fantasies, or we have these pipe dreams, but we don't turn them into reality. My goals have to be reasonable, they have to be attainable, and they have to be done in a certain period of time. When I make that commitment, they actually come into reality, and then they become visible. Zig Ziglar, the famous real estate guy and motivational speaker, says, just setting a goal is halfway there. And I remember when I was 30 years old, I told a friend of mine, Mark Samuels, who's a dentist, I said, you know, in 30 years, I would like to write articles, I would like to teach, and I'd like to travel all the world, educating people everywhere. And he looked at me and goes, you're an egomaniac. I go, well, yeah, I may be an egomaniac. I go, but that's sort of what I want to do because I think it was something I really wanted to enjoy. Well, that was 40 years ago I said that to him. And today I'm doing those things that I said. And sometimes people will come up to me and go, you know, you're lucky you get to do this. I go, well, it's not really luck. It's a goal that I set. And I worked on it, you know, every Sunday morning in my basement, putting together slides and doing those things. It required a commitment. You know, if you're going to run a marathon, it requires a commitment. You got to eat well. You got to train, hopefully with a training partner, and you got to make that commitment. So almost everything in your life, if you look in the rearview mirror, is because you set some goal, most likely. However, if you want to make your future more powerful, and again, I'm going to quote Dan Sullivan again. Dan Sullivan says, you want to make your future greater than your past. When I look toward my future, I get pretty excited. So I'm 72 years old, and I'm not thinking about retirement. Matter of fact, I'm like a little kid in a candy store. I have so many things that I want to do that make me so excited. And I keep on setting these new goals. And every time I go through a goal and it gets accomplished, it gives me a little bit more confidence. And it gives me, you know, it gives me a tremendous amount of joy. My wife loves music, but she doesn't know the difference between a G clef. She doesn't know the difference between a sharp and a flat. She started taking piano lessons last week. I'll tell you, she's so excited. She knows where middle C is now on a piano. And in her 60s, she's sitting down and playing the first time she's ever played a musical instrument. She's only been playing 2 weeks, but I know that if she continues, in 6 months, she'll be playing songs. She'll understand the difference between a flat and a sharp and different scales, and it's going to make her life really, really happy. I hope. I know it will. So, sum up. If you're too busy, take the time, slow down, take some time for yourself, and sit down and write these goals down on a piece of paper. Share them with somebody, and after those 3 months when you commit them, you're going to look back and go, wow, I never thought I'd get that stuff done. And, you know, as healthcare providers, or anything, no matter what you do for a living, no matter what you do in your life, we all can be too busy too easily. You know, we get overwhelmed. We sit down, we watch TV, we just flick through it. You know, people say, one of my dental assistants said to me the other day, she goes, you know, I love TikTok, but it's such a dark, you know, I get into this vortex here. She goes, I have to time myself. I can't do more than an hour a day. Sort of a waste of time, most likely, because you're not really accomplishing anything there. If you want to accomplish like 1 hour of just relaxation, and that's what you want to do, then that's what you're going to accomplish. But you're really not really improving things by doing that. And so I always try to make my goals something that's going to make my life and the lives of the people around me better. Enough for me today. Be the gift out there. Set some goals for yourself and go out there and kill it. Have a great day, everybody.